And joining us, one of our early interviews for 2023, no stranger to what's next, is Wynand Theron, who is the CEO and founder at iTried's. Wynand, it's good to see you. How's 2023 kicked off for you?
Very, very busy, Aki. Very, very busy. Thank you for having me again. It's amazing to be back. I think it's going to be a good year for us. I think it's going to be a good year for all ISPs and for all networking engineers.
Well, listen, I mean, we were talking the last time I spoke to you, you had tremendous growth. 2022 was amazing, and you guys were born at the start of COVID, and it's been an extraordinary journey that iTried has been on. When you look back through to 2022 and even before then, it's been an interesting journey. What have you guys been up to in the last year since we last spoke?
A lot of interesting opportunities came our way. Big network builds, big schools that came on board with the SD-WAN product that we're offering, and the launch of our as-a-service products. So we are starting with our as-a-service this year, but it's been in development since the beginning of last year, which is quite exciting for us to officially launch this week.
Well, look, I'm super excited to hear about that because it's amazing how many small businesses are coming up, how many businesses are looking at being a lot more flexible. There's this whole massive digitization that's been happening. We know what COVID has done to businesses. They've had to look at other sources, find different ways of doing things, cost cutting and everything. And that's where you guys come in. And obviously security has been a massive issue, and even at Davos this year, they reckon that security is going to be an issue for a long time, and it's the one vulnerability that we have amongst networks. And when you look at security surrounding networks and infrastructure, we've seen massive attacks. There's no doubt about it. It's certainly on the increase. What are iTried's plans to help its customers be even more secure in 2023?
It's an interesting question, Aki. The main thing we see these days is on open networks, where people can log on to their laptops, they hook up to a Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi isn't secured enough for everyone to use, so they spread viruses around on their network. And especially in schools, especially in co-working industry, it's very difficult to maintain, it's very difficult to manage these type of things. We're closely working with our partners at Fusion Broadband to start to alleviate things on threat protection side, to help mitigate things like viruses spreading, ransomware attacks happening. And this is the type of security that we are looking into at this stage, because we need to make sure that the information we have on site is protected at all times.
Okay, so securing that data, securing the data and that connectivity at all times, absolutely key.
Securing more in the lines of securing the transit data, so the data being, either going via the internet onto Office 365 platforms, onto Google platforms, wherever it's being stored, just making sure that it's encrypted on your last mile or your internet connectivity at least.
And then basically you protect that before it gets into your network.
Exactly, yes. So if you think of it, it's basically a community of all internet providers coming together, and you're protecting one big pipe of internet to not be attacked. So
right.
It's been a journey for us last year, where we actually built our first our ISP relationships in order to do things like failovers onto their networks. So we've got Power Cloud on board, we've got CyberSmart on board, which is pretty cool for us, and Comsol. So Comsol is also one of our big partners, hosting our aggregation. So if Comsol's network is acting up a little bit, or it's giving us a little bit of a hiccup, then we move all the traffic over to Power Cloud. If Power Cloud is having a little bit of a hiccup, we move everything over to CyberSmart in Cape Town. So for us, it was a very good journey to build this network and this SD-WAN and the security surrounding our internet in the last year with all of our ISPs and Fusion Broadband.
Okay, now that's brilliant. I'm glad to see that security is a massive priority. Look, at the end of the day, Wynand, we also face a very unique situation in this country. And I have to talk about the L word, and that, of course, is load shedding and the impact that it has on all of us. And, of course, a lot of companies have shifted, employees work from home, do this, do that. But the reality is that the load shedding levels that we have, the consistency of them, is impacting power in data centers, for example, in the fiber providers, and connectivity. And the failure of downtime is at crisis levels. You think that you may have a generator, or you might have, solar power at home, but that doesn't mean that your fiber provider is going to be providing consistent connectivity to you, because they've impacted somewhere along the line. So I want to unpack this a little bit and talk about fiber, talk about LTE, talk about SD-WAN, etc. But let me first start off with fiber. And I want to ask, why have fixed fiber wireless and LTE, why have they become so unreliable in many regards? Obviously, the power issues is the main cause here, but what is your take on this?
So, with load shedding, what we have is power issues, obviously, with generation not starting up anywhere, or your UPS is not starting up, or the internet is at one of the nodes, or at one of the POPs is down. So then all connectivity or some connectivity is affected. Any business is dependent on a single internet fiber, so internet link, whether it's fiber, whether it's wireless, whether it's LTE, and it's all going to become equally unreliable, because you never know when it's going to happen. So
yes.
It's not a matter of if it's going to happen, it's a matter of when. I mean, it's
Yes.
always going to happen, whether we like it or not. And the response time from an ISP, whether it's 1 hour, whether it's 3 hours, whether it's 2 hours, you're going to be down for 2 hours during load shedding if the ISP can't come to the party at that stage, right? So the main thing here is to make sure that when you have a SD-WAN on site from Fusion, you have multiple ISPs, you have multiple ways of connecting. So you don't just have a fiber line, you don't just have an LTE sitting on site, you don't just have a wireless microwave sitting on site. We actually take all of this technologies and bunch them together. Because what's the chances of all of them failing at the same time, right?
Exactly.
Except if a boat is dragging anchor over us, over our cables in the sea.
Yeah, well, that's why. I mean, I guess that the redundancy is really, really important in the bigger picture here. Is that you have got that LTE backup, over fiber, but this is where SD-WAN really, really comes into play and really matters. So, talk to me about SD-WAN and why does it matter to every SME with connection problems?
So SD-WAN has been a well-kept secret into the SME market. I think that the SD-WANs has been largely made for the enterprise market. So you have a big unit sitting in your server cabinets, and it's got 300 ISPs plugged into it. And if one ISP fails, you have to make sure that there's enough IP addresses available on another ISP, so you can have connectivity. But what we've done at Fusion and iTried is to design something that's automated, something that's quick plug and play, something that's that can eliminate connection failures. And as I said earlier, with more ISPs, the more ISPs you have on your site, the better your connectivity will be, and the less interference or the less network interruptions you will have on your site. And this is especially on call centers. It's largely required, if I can put it like that, because your call center needs to operate 24/7, whether it's 24/7 or at least 8 hours a day. And with load shedding happening, you never know what's going to happen. And even if there isn't load shedding, even if there wasn't load shedding, this product will still help you, because you never know what's happening on the hardware side of the ISP. I mean, a switch can fail. A router can fail. I mean, even the best routers in the world can fail. So what we do with the SD-WAN is just making sure that you have connectivity. And a swap out takes a few hours. We send one
Yeah.
to you, and we can, and it's already configured.
That's brilliant. I mean, it sounds like a very affordable solution. I mean, I guess that's what I want to ask you is that why is Fusion's SD-WAN provided by iTried? You've mentioned some of the things, you know, that the fact that you've got a lot more agility to be able to do things a lot faster. So it sounds to me like it's better suited and more affordable to SMEs.
It is definitely. Our product start range is about 1,399 Rand a month. So what we do is we give you the SD-WAN. So if you put the SD-WAN unit down, you can have all your multiple ISPs, or you can come to us as iTried and say, listen, I want another ISP or I want another fiber line. We organize it for you. We plug it into your SD-WAN unit that you have. And with this automation, this quick and easy install, the support that we offer with regards to the SD-WAN units, I think it's a major benefit to this SME market that we have. And the SME market that we have at the moment is such a growing market that you have to make sure that if a new startup comes into play or a SME is moving from one side to another, that there's always connectivity. And the nice thing about this is it's a plug-and-play unit, as we said. Like,
Yes.
you plug it in, you plug a MTN LTE modem in. Your IP address doesn't change. Your IP address is always the same. Your threat protection is there. Your DNS masking is on site. Your unit is working for and you can have internet. Your internet's there, and you can plug in up to 7 or 8 ISPs onto the bigger ones. So
and you've got the support of iTried, you know, so that's important, that peace of mind that if something does go wrong, you know, you mentioned the swap out times, how quickly that is, how quickly you react. So I think that it's a brilliant service, especially when you look at the price. So well done on that, Wynand. Now, at the start of this interview, you did mention, and I've been dying to talk to you about this, is the launch of as a service. Can you expand on this? What exactly is iTried doing with regards to software? With regards to as a service, what are you guys planning?
Yeah, Aki, we've been security focused this whole year. It's been crazy. We're trying to make sure that our security on all our customers' networks are, up to scratch. Make sure that it's always working. And last year, in the beginning of the year, we decided to start developing on a program called Radius as a Service. So we all know Radius, we all know what authentication is, we all know usernames and passwords. So what we do at this stage is we developed a program or a Radius as a service where it's easy to spin up a Radius server in less than 5 minutes. Actually, you can actually spin up a Radius service. You configure your network, you could start your authentication process. And I think we're entering a market where it's so difficult to manage these type of things, and we call on our ISPs and our IT providers to make sure that our internet is secured, our Wi-Fi is always secured. And how do you know your Wi-Fi is secured if you have one password running around the network? I mean, I'm looking around the room here and I can see the password for the Wi-Fi where I'm sitting at the moment. And, how secure is that? How do you know what devices is on your network? And it's crazy because what we have to do is make sure that the device actually on my network is in the correct VLAN, is in the correct network, has enough internet bandwidth available for that client. So right. Radius has been an incubator for years, and Radius has been around for years. I mean, you have LDAP, you have Radius, you have Active Directory and all these kind of things. But what we wanted to achieve with this was, our first point of contact was to make sure that when you configure a Radius client like ours, you can basically connect up to the internet, and you can connect with the user.
So explain to me, what would you actually use Radius as a service for? And I mean, and is it secure? Because obviously the security is a critical part when you have people connecting to your network. So what would you use Radius as a service for?
Is it secure though? That question, I'm going to say, if it's not secure, you're only as secure as your password. So if you're going to make your password 1234, the chances of me getting into it is going to be very easy. So is it secure? Well, yes, it can be secure if your passwords are set correctly. And what we've done on our side is to make sure that your password has to meet a certain set of criteria. The numbers, the format needs to be the same. So just to make sure that there's a certain length to it, there isn't the unsecured passwords on the Wi-Fi.
Okay.
And then what is it used for? I mean, Radius has been used for VPN, so you can hook up your VPN to it, and you when someone logs into the VPN, they actually have the one to they can log in with their username and passwords. Wi-Fi can have Radius authentication, so Radius authentication on Wi-Fi in cafes, for instance, you can have a certain Wi-Fi that's only available for 2 hours for people in an internet cafe setup. In a co-working industry or a co-working space like Workshop17, where I'm sitting at the moment, they have a Radius set up as authentication protocols where you have a username and a password for your 2 devices that needs to connect to the internet, or your 3 devices or your 4 devices, however many you as the person set.
Okay.
So you can limit the amount of devices running a password, and that's actually the benefit of having a Radius, because having a password around here, it's easy for someone to go by, grab the password, it's more secure to have a username and a password on your Wi-Fi.
Yes. And it's important in today's networks, especially where you are, as you mentioned right now. Whenever there's like a public area network, it's so important to know what devices are connected to your network.
Correct.
And it just adds that other layer of security. So people watching this saying, okay, well, that's interesting for me, but how does it benefit me as a customer to get Radius as a service model, and where do I sign up?
So Radius as a service, what it is basically beneficial for is security. So if you have authentication, it's very easy to set up from our side. You can go to AAS, so as a service, aas.co.za. You can check out the pricing there. You can click on sign up, and you can go onto the platform. You sign up. You create your first Radius server. There is some FAQs on the website, so if you go onto the website, you can grab some FAQs from there, and the FAQs can then just explain to you how would you set it up on a controller of Unify, how would you set it up on a what's the information that you would require. So it's very easy, it's very user-friendly. If you want to, if you go to your aas.co.za on your phone, you can even add it as a shortcut on your mobile device, and it becomes an app.
Okay. It sounds really, really easy. So it's AAS. What's that website you mentioned?
Yeah, AAS. So as a service.co.za. AAS.co.za.
Okay, all right. That's easy enough to remember. The question I have for you before we close, Wynand, is Radius sounds amazing, and the Radius as a service, it sounds almost like it's an essential service for companies to have. But what do companies do that have workforces in a specific area, and then they've also got a hybrid workforce? How would Radius work when you are dealing with hybrid workers?
So you can still utilize security tools like your VPNs. If you have a FortiGate network or a Sophos network which uses, you can still link your Radius up to that. So the username and password will never change as it is on one Radius server. So if it's a hybrid model, they're going to use the same username and password to connect to the VPN to get into your network. And it's the most important part for me about having Radius on a site is surrounding your username and your password security. So if I don't share my details, no one else can go onto my network. And it's all about how do you manage this password. So I think that's the reason why we chose to go Radius as our first AAS product. Because there's so much in the as a service model that you can utilize.
Yes.
And AAS and Radius, because it is directly related to security, that was our point of contact and our point of call to actually utilize and make sure that it actually works.
Wow, some exciting things happening at iTried, and I'm just loving the energy, I'm loving the expansion, I'm loving what you are doing to impact SMEs out there. Wynand Theron, CEO and founder at iTried, thank you for joining us on What's Next. We appreciate your time, and may you guys at iTried have a spectacular 2023.
Okay, thanks so much for having us again, and we hope to see you soon again.
Absolutely.
And all the best for 2023, and I'll keep watching your show, eh?
Thank you. Thank you, sir.